As part of our Hamburg Mix Design series, we talked to 6 companies about their Hamburg test equipment. Here's our interview with Maurice Arbelize with InstroTek. Well, hey, thank you for joining us, Maurice. I appreciate you making the time.
Absolutely, Dan.
So, Maurice, can you tell us about InstroTek?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Again, thanks for the opportunity. We really appreciate it. InstroTek is a firm in Raleigh, North Carolina. We started back in 1997 with the owner, Ali Regiment. And really the focus of the firm was to become a research and development firm for the asphalt industry and civil engineering industry. So we really based all our products on bringing new innovations, new technology to help with a number of different material testing solutions in the market. And since then, we've kind of grown to 7 offices across the country. We've had a number of products that have become very popular within the asphalt industry, like the Core Lock and Core Dry, both used for drying asphalt cores and for measuring density of aggregates and cores from the field. And most recently, we released a non-nuclear gauge as well as a rolling density meter, GPR system. So we've always been very focused on what new solutions, what new products we can bring that really excel the industry forward, and not just looking at what's out there and coming up with new products, but how do we really look at where the need is and what products are really going to move the needle forward in our industry. All of that has been grounded in a base of a customer service and making sure that we are always there for our customers and making sure that we take care of the products we put out. So we're very heavily based in engineering with technical support and great customer service. And that's kind of the foundation of InstroTek and who we are as a company.
So, Maurice, can you tell me about InstroTek's Hamburg wheel tracking test machine?
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. The unit was released in 2014, and this was the time that there were other units already in the market, but we really had the ability to look at what was in the market and see where improvements we could make and what kind of things we wanted to do either better, different, to the current selection that was commercially available to the contractors. And we kind of built everything in based on safety, ease of use, and being able to work with the machine easily. And one of the number of things that we kind of came up with were retractable wheels that actually self-park into the unit, so you don't need to lift them or lift them out of the way to access the samples. We also had molds that slide into place, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but they're also kind of a safety feature. We had the hood. That's kind of a distinctive part of the Smart Tracker is the hood that kind of encloses the entire testing area for safety again, but also helps keep the heat in. And some of the other things are the size. Well, ours is one of the smallest, most compact units on the market, and we know that space is at a premium in most laboratories. So obviously you don't need something that's very big, that's going to take up a lot of room. And the Smart Tracker definitely ticks that box. Also, cleaning and maintenance, very simple to do on the Smart Tracker. We also have dual motors that actually are the unit's able to run either independently of each other. So if you want to do just one test or both tests, you can do that. And with our tank system, we have a 3-tank system that allows the unit to run one side wet and one side dry, or both sides dry, both sides wet. So you have a little bit of choice when it comes to running the unit. And recently we've added a heating option for air heating. So if you want to do dry testing but at elevated temperature, you can actually do that with the Smart Tracker. One of the things that we really pride ourselves on is the after-sales service. I think all these features are great. They do make a nice system, but in the end, really how we take care of our customers and how we take care of the system afterwards is really where customers and our company really shines. And we think that's one of the most important things, especially with a system that's this expensive and it's going to get this much work. Really being able to have the people, ability, and need to want to go out and help the customers with their units in case there is any issues is one of our kind of guiding principles when we sell the Smart Tracker.
Maurice, you touched a little bit on safety. What are some of the safety features of InstroTek Smart Tracker?
Yeah, like I said, some of the safety features go right along with the system because we really thought about safety. You obviously have a very large machine that has a wheel, 158 pounds running over asphalt. That if you have an open air system, you definitely don't want anybody near that. So the way we thought about the unit is like, how do we keep people away from that, especially curious people that may not have ever seen one of these. And when they first came out, everybody's like, what's a Hamburg wheel? And, people were going out to labs to look at them. And in UTech might want to look and see what's happening to the asphalt as it's getting tested. So the hood on our unit actually locks as soon as you press start. That hood will not open unless the test is paused, which allow the wheels to retract back into the system. And at that point, you can open the hood to inspect the samples in case you need to, or do anything you might need to without the wheels running. So that's incredibly important for the safety of the technician operating the unit. The molds that I talked about that slide into place, we see that as a safety feature as well. Molds can weigh quite a bit when they're loaded with an asphalt slab or just the cores. And lifting that entire mold up and over the edge of a system can be very heavy, especially if it's someone that may be a little bit shorter in the lab or not very strong. That can, obviously hurt your back a little bit as you're placing them. And if you're doing, 3 tests a day or 4 tests a day or however many and so many a week, after a while that can take an effect. So the sliding feature it was also, in our view, a safety issue. And with our system, what you can do is you can move the table that's about the same height as the smart tracker right to the edge of it, and then just slide those molds right into place without having to lift them. So that's another good one. We also incorporated a feedback loop for the LVDTs. We have heard and seen some units that as they're testing, especially with larger aggregates in them, the wheel would start to bounce as it moves back and forth, which would allow the system itself to move quite heavily back and forth as that wheel try to roll over aggregates that had dislodged from the asphalt sample. And these are obviously samples that may be failing or something may be going on with them. But a lot of people might not be right next to their unit. So our feedback loop with the LVDT will actually stop the test if it notices a large leap in the LVDT movement or the deformation of the sample. And that can be adjusted accordingly, but it is a safety feature to make sure the unit doesn't damage itself by just keeping the wheels rolling if that happens. And then again, electrical components are safely guarded from the rest of the unit by the hood, especially for any computers or any electronics you might have right next to the system. A lot of these labs, they put these machines right next to each other, and the hood actually keeps all that water vapor kind of trapped inside the unit versus just spilling out into the laboratory that may or may not damage something right next to it that maybe have some electrical components after time. Obviously, the first time you use it, 10 times you use it, no, but after a certain time, that amount of humidity may cause damage to other equipment nearby or computers or anything like that. So those are kind of some of the safety things that we've added into our unit.
So Maurice, does the Smart Tracker meet the 2019 requirements of AASHTO T324?
Yes, it meets all of them. In fact, when the unit first came out, it came out right at the time of the NCHR report. I believe it's NCHRP 20-07 test 361, and that's when they tested all the units that were commercially available at that time to make sure they were passing all the specifications of AASHTO 324. And the InstroTek unit passed all those. The only thing that was added later to the AASHTO spec, I think, was the sinusoidal waveform of the wheels, and we had no problems also meeting that requirement as long as we've been fabricating the unit.
Are there any other test methods that the Smart Tracker can be used for?
Yeah, absolutely. The unit is actually built to be able to change out the wheel, increase the weight, increase the temperature with the air heater. So there's a number of standards that it can adhere to apart from the AASHTO standard. So it just depends on what you're looking for and making sure that the unit can actually those standards can be adhered to by changing the unit a little bit.
About the Smart Tracker, you started to emphasize maintenance was to keep a smart tracker operating and verified for accuracy?
Yeah, 100%. So the smart tracker is, like I mentioned, has minimal maintenance, and this is usually after every few tests. You want to do some maintenance on the unit, cleaning tanks at the end of the day. Just keeping the unit clean is important. Most units will require some kind of greasing or lubrication at different points on the machine. The Smart Tracker has 4 different points, and they're all at the very top of the machine, very accessible, easily to get to, which don't take any time at all. It's actually very quick, and it's something that we do during our training and installation of the unit that comes with every machine. We have someone there to kind of show you exactly how to take care of the machine and maintain it once you purchase, and train everybody on how to do that. The other thing is, it is with any other units of a yearly calibration. And for that yearly calibration, InstroTek has actually developed a piece of equipment called the HWT Pro, and we also have the HWT Wave. And the Pro is basically a kit that allows you to test all the parameters, verify of the Hamburg system, so speed, load, dynamic load, water temperature, anything in the specification, the AASHTO T324 specification, you can test and verify with the system. And if it's out of calibration, you can actually calibrate it with it as well. So this HWT Pro was designed specifically for the Smart Tracker, and it works almost seamlessly with it. It comes with software. It prints out a full calibration report, but it can also be used with other systems as well. It's not just particular to the Smart Tracker, and it's a great system. We've been actually offering them to DOTs, calibration companies, large contractors that actually have multiple units of these. We'll send it out so you can test and verify before a large project that the unit is running adequately, that there's no issues, and then go ahead and test all your asphalt samples. The HWT Wave Pro, that's a smaller version of the system, and that one just tests the sinusoidal waveform of the wheel, which is actually now part of the specification for Hamburg systems. And it's a much smaller kit, very quick to do, but it can actually tell you, what the wave shape is doing. And really, right now, this system is really the only way to do that. There's no other commercially available method to test that wave, sinusoidal waveform of the wheel. So it's a really nice kit to have along with your Smart Tracker, or really any other system as well.
So Maurice, can you tell me a little bit about what does InstroTek offer for service and support?
Yeah. So as I told you earlier, I was talking about InstroTek. Our company now has 7 offices across the country. We have offices in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Michigan, Colorado, Texas, Nevada, and California. And all these offices do have service centers, and we can obviously help you with anything that you may need, supplies, consumables for the equipment, as well as our field services team. We have a field service team that actually does on-site calibration, maintenance, training. They can commission your unit. And so really, InstroTek is very well positioned across the U.S., pretty much help anybody, any part of the country. And I think that's one of our biggest attributes for this system, is that if you need help and you're in a certain part of the country, we'll have an office or someone from InstroTek that has the knowledge and ability to help out quickly. These systems obviously are important to the contractors that use them, the asphalt labs that use them, and any downtime can really hurt the contractor. So as part of our customer service and pledge, we try to make sure that we're able to react quickly to any customer issues with the system, and have people in place that can actually attend to those issues.
If I were going to go purchase a Smart Tracker, what would I need to do in my facility prepare?
Yeah, so the Smart Tracker obviously requires the water, the electricity, the correct electricity. So first, what I suggest is find the space. These systems, like I said, aren't very, very small. The Smart Tracker is one of the most compact ones in the market. It measures, the footprint of it is 48 length, 54 width or depth, and 50 inches tall. So it is pretty compact. The one thing that I get asked a lot and sometimes isn't talked about is, hey, I have my opening to my lab is this large. Can I get it through? And that, I think that's an important question for people to know and ask, because I've seen a lot of labs have to rebuild walls based on the unit they've purchased. And so you definitely want to make sure that you can get your unit into the laboratory space that you have sanctioned out for it. So ours can fit usually through a 40-inch door, 42-inch door, and without any problem. It can move through there. But apart from that, yeah, you want a clean water supply. Obviously, water with a lot of sediment or hard water can actually, start gathering in different parts of the unit. And so the best clean water is always great for any system, not just for this one. Anything that uses water, you'll want to do that for. And then you'll need either plumbing or a bucket to get the discharge of the unit. So once you're done testing, you'll want to have some way of discharging the water. A lot of labs plummet. The Smart Tracker has 3 different valves to empty the entirety of all the 3 tanks it uses. So that's always very useful. And then, apart from that, that's pretty much it. You don't need an additional computer. Ours is an onboard computer that actually controls the entire system. You basically take the data off of it. You either network it or put it on a USB or SD card, take your computer, open our reporting software, which comes with the unit, and you can create all the reports that you want. And we're able to change around the reporting if that's something the customer needs. Kind of like what you guys do, a little bit of software. Customization is never an issue for us. So, but apart from that, that's pretty much the basics of what your lab might need for Smart Tracker.
You just need to hook the Smart Tracker up to the appropriate power. What is the appropriate power for the Smart Tracker?
So we recommend for the best use of the unit a 230 single phase, 30 amp connection, wall connection. It comes with a cord. All you need to do is provide the plug, whatever plug will work best for in your lab.
So Maurice, in your opinion, what's next for the Hamburg wheel tracking test itself and other Reading index tests?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this question because it's actually, for someone like myself that is so focused on, how can we make this test bigger and how can we get more people doing it? So there's actually, a national standard or everybody in the U.S. is doing it. That's kind of where my focus lies. So right now, for us, the next step in Hamburg testing is actually everybody doing Hamburg net testing and seeing the states that aren't on board or haven't really developed their specifications in their state, helping them get there. And really then at that point, it turns to a question of, let's look at the BMD data, both for Hamburg testing, but we also have BMD, the Cracky testing, and seeing what that's telling us about our mixes and where we can improve our mixes. I think what the industry has done has been really great. We started with volumetrics and just measuring density and those kind of things. We moved to more dynamic testing, and now we've had BMD as well. And that has really kind of really started honing in on what materials, what additives. There's so many brilliant people around the industry that are just researching this day in, day out to see what's going to make that pavement last another 2, 3, 5 years. To really extend the life, the pavement life of our asphalt pavements. And so for us and for what I think is the future of these tests is, getting it expanded to other states that may be not doing Hamburg testing, getting them to get a specification, looking at all the data and starting to categorize the mixes that are performing exceptionally well and finding out what makes those mixes perform that way. And then lastly, I kind of throw it back to you guys, doing what you guys are doing, combining the software information and the ability to get this information off the units and to the customers quicker, faster, more efficiently. I think that combination in itself will really propel the industry forward. I mean, we see in so many other places in the industry and in just regular life where information is at our hands almost immediately. And our industry seems to fall short of that. But software companies like LASTRADA and other ones are actually moving that needle forward. And I think we need that for field products, for laboratory products. So that's kind of where I see the technology increasing, is getting access to the data quicker, faster, and being able to report it in a way that makes sense to people and is easily transferable between the owner of the equipment and the people paying for the tests, or the people that are doing the analysis of the tests.
Thank you to Maurice for representing InstroTek. If you'd like to learn more about InstroTek, visit their website linked below. To learn more about LASTRADA, the world's leading construction materials testing software, visit our contact page to speak with one of our engineers.